until the next instructions are given, right? All right. You guys are each getting a Skittle. I want you to take out your science notebooks and turn to the next available page. And I want you to look at your Skittle and write as many things as you can notice about your Skittle on your paper. Okay? All right. So what we're doing today, we're going to talk about objectives. Our objective today is to be able to write and understand our observations of different materials and or reactions that come out of mixing or putting different things together, given a rubric, which we passed out right before. It's already in your notebooks. Do we need a couple more minutes to write down anything? No, we're good? All right, 1, 2, 3, eyes on me. All right, so I have right here a rock and a piece of sidewalk. All right? If I were to take, well, first off, this piece of sidewalk is clean, right? As much as the sidewalk can be. There's no marks, there's nothing on it. Yeah? If I were to take this rock and drag it across this piece of cement, and there's now a white line, what do you think happened?
The rock rubbed onto the concrete.
Yeah. So by our observations, the rock made a white line on the sidewalk. If the rock hadn't rubbed on the sidewalk, would there be a white line? No. All right. Okay, we know every time we look at something, we notice different things. We might not say it, but we notice different things. So if we were to look at Daniel's shirt, what do we notice about it?
It has writing.
Has writing, Aubrey?
It's black.
It's black. Anything else?
There's pink on it.
There's pink on it. So you notice different colors. You notice things that are on it. What about the look of it, like the texture?
It looks soft.
Looks soft? All right. Those are all things that we observe and make observations about, which is all observations are. They're just notes or things you notice using your 5 senses. Do we know what our 5 senses are? Do we remember? Aubrey?
Look,
Looking, stuff you see.
hear,
There's one. Hearing.
touch,
Touch.
smell,
Smell.
taste.
Taste. Good job. All right. So, knowing what all of our 5 senses are, let's go back to the Skittle that you got at the beginning of this lesson. What did you see about your Skittle?
It's red.
It's red.
Mine's
It's
is
round.
broken.
Yours is broken.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
It's round.
It's round. How about the feel of it? What does it feel like?
Smooth.
Smooth. Any other feelings?
Kind of hard.
Kind of hard. All right. What about the smell? Does it have a smell?
It smells like Skittles.
Smells like Skittles. Do you hear
Like sweet.
anything? Does it make any sounds
When you drop it on the table, it
when you
does.
drop it on the table?
Going too fast. Can't write all this down.
You don't need to write it. We're just talking about it. And what about the taste? How about we taste them?
Tastes like grape.
Yours tastes like grape,
Mine tastes like cherry.
like cherry,
Not grapes, they
like
like blueberries.
blueberries.
Yeah.
You didn't like that one?
I should have got that purple one. You stole it.
He didn't steal it. I gave it to him. Okay, everyone got one. All right.
Sophie went upstairs.
Oh. What we're gonna do, we're gonna make a little experiment. Alright? So if I were to take one, I'm gonna put it under our dot camera. If I were to take one blue Skittle, put it on this plate. Oh, it's not on. And pour water on it. What do we, by raising our hands, what do we think will happen when I pour the water on the blue Skittle? Any guess? Matt?
I don't think anything will happen at first.
You don't think anything will happen? How about Aubrey?
Oh, get like a lighter color.
A lighter color? Danny?
The water will change colors.
You think the water will change colors?
Oh,
Alright. See, we all have different opinions or our own thoughts of what will happen when we mix two different materials. That's something else that we use in our scientific method called a hypothesis. Big word, kind of silly. Makes me think of hippopotamus, right? So, hypothesis, excuse me, is basically an educated guess or a prediction of what you think is going to happen based off of observations that we have taken and we know about materials, and then we make a hypothesis if those materials will change when put together with something else, or if something else happens to them. When you apply heat or cold or mixing two different things, kind of like when you make cookies. When you mix a bunch of different things, they're one separate thing, but when you mix them all together, they can make cookies or cookie dough until you bake them. So, in a second, we're going to write down our hypothesis to our next one, but first, let's see if any of us were right. We'll give that a second. If you want to write down what your hypothesis on what you think will happen on your paper, and when we're finished, we'll look at our Skittle and see who had the closest guess, or closest hypothesis, I should say. Alright. 1, 2, 3, eyes on me. Finish up your last words. Okay, let's look at the camera and check. What happened to our Skittle? What happened between our water and our Skittle?
Color ran out.
The color ran out.
Water turned blue.
The water turned blue.
both of us knew it.
Both of you were kind of right. Didn't have the full one. We didn't talk about, you didn't talk about the water changing color, and Daniel didn't talk about the Skittle losing some of its color. Right?
Turned white.
Kind of turned a little white. It fizzed up a little bit. That's okay. See, it's okay to get our hypotheses wrong. Or just a little wrong. You're meant to make a hypothesis, a theory, test it, and then go back and make changes to it. That's how we learn how things work or what happens, right?
Because it's a guess.
Because it's a guess, an educated guess. Alright, now we're going to do another one, but this time, instead of just using one, I'm going to use several. On your piece of paper, I want you guys to write your next hypothesis, what you think will happen to the Skittles.
It's rainbow.
Write on your paper. Has everyone got their stuff down? They're ready to check? Oh, that didn't work.
Yeah, I thought it was gonna turn like purplish, but it's definitely more red. I thought it was gonna turn dark.
That was gonna turn dark. What did Aubrey put?
The water will change rainbow.
We'll change rainbow. You were kind of right. Look at all the sections of colors. It didn't turn just one color, it turned all the colors. But when we move it around, the colors mix. And the Skittles lose their color. Alright? It's not about being right, it's about being able to test your theories. Huh?
It's like ultraviolet thermometer. It's for your computer.
Alright, so the next thing we're going to do so we're now at the next step in our process, alright? Next thing we're going to do is you each have a colored straw on your desk. I want you to look at your color. I'm going to call you by one color at a time. I'm going to ask you to walk over to get one of the ingredients we need for our next project or our next experiment and walk it back over for your group, alright? So I want the person with the red straw to go over and get the sugar for your table. It's 2 cups. I want the person with the yellow straw to go get the vanilla for your group. I want the person with the green straw to get the salt for your group.
Both of them.
Didn't get both of them. The person with the red straw, you can go get the milk. Remember, we're not touching anything yet. And the person with the green straw, you can go get the ice. we have everything we need, right? What we're gonna do is you are going to consult with your team of scientists at your table. You're going to go over each ingredient you were given and make observations about each individual ingredient. Alright? You're allowed to touch it, smell it,
Taste it.
listen to it, taste it just a little bit. If you want, you do not have to. Alright? Use all your senses to get all the observations you need,
Smells really sweet.
and I will come around and talk to everybody.
Very good.
Feels, the ice feels cold.
Water is really cold.
I think Aubrey tasted the salt.
Uh-huh. It's like
The
nice.
salt, it doesn't have a smell.
Can I taste the sugar?
Tastes
Sugar is
Yeah, I taste it.
Alright. So what kind of observations are we making?
The sugar tastes sweet.
The sugar was sweet.
the water is a little cold.
Salt sounds like a
water.
musical instrument, you know, like one of those shakers. And
Yeah.
shake it.
The salt tastes.
The water is cold.
Oh, yeah. This tastes nasty.
What's that?
What is
Vanilla?
it?
Vanilla tastes nasty.
It tastes nasty. Alright, anything else? What about the colors?
Well, the water is clear.
The sugar and salt are both white and look the same.
Ooh, sugar.
And this looks like brown.
Is that the salt?
Okay.
Or the sugar?
What about you think about the feel of them?
Salt and the sugar are like
No,
grainy.
you tricked me.
They're like green.
This
Daniel, that's
The
not
sugar.
nice to trick people.
Both of
The
them
sugar.
tricked me.
The sugar is bigger than the salt.
It's bigger than the salt, the pieces, yeah. What about the vanilla and the milk? What consistency are they?
Do you
liquid.
want
They're liquids, right? They're not hard.
The
Oh,
this one looks a little
that's not what you
thicker.
should be doing.
Looks thicker than water.
Mhm. What about the ice?
The ice is
Tastes like water.
it's hard. It's really cold.
Should we be writing this down?
You should. You should be writing down your observations. You'll need them. All right, I'm gonna move to the next table.
Vanilla and enemy.
Remember, you should be making observations about everything you see or notice. All right, guys. Couple more seconds. Finish up your observations. I'm gonna be pulling our popsicle stick colors.
Salt. Salt.
For somebody to give me an observation to share with the class about something you noticed. How about our green stick? What's an observation you want to tell everybody?
The vanilla is an enemy to me.
Aubrey.
The salt is sour.
The salt is sour. Alright. Let's see. How about our red stick?
The sugar is sweet.
The sugar was sweet. Anything else about the sugar? What about its feel, its smell?
It feels crystally.
Feels crystally. Alright. How about our yellow stick?
The ice is cold
The ice is cold.
and it looks like it's rough, but when you touch it, it feels smooth.
It's weird, huh? Alright. So we're gonna move on to our final project. Alright. Now to summarize everything we've done. Whoa. So we have who's our checklist helper? Who was our checklist helper today?
Oh, that was me.
That was you? Do you want to walk over to the board and get ready to make our check marks?
Sure.
Ooh, can I do it?
Matt's our helper today. We'll have a new helper tomorrow. Alright, did we discover how to make hypothesis today?
Yes.
Yes? Anybody else?
Yep.
Hang 10 if you agree. Yeah. Matt, you can check it off. Let's see. Did we learn how to use our 5 senses to make observations? Yeah. Awesome, guys. Let's see. Did we make our own ice cream using all of their materials that we observed, figured out how they mixed, right? Yeah. Good job. All right, thank you, Matt. You can have a seat. All right. Next thing I want you to do, I want you to take a half sheet of paper before we move on.
How? I don't have a half sheet.
Hold your paper. You got a half sheet. All right. Our objective today was that students will be able to make observations and keep records, observations giving a rubric. Using our knuckle check, remember 1 for no, 2 for yes. Do you think you guys understood how to make observations and being able to keep a record of our observations? Use your knuckle check and show me. All right. Good job. All right. So I got 3 questions for you guys. First question. What is a hypothesis? Write it on your paper. Thank you for raising your hand up. Our next question is, how would you make an observation? What would you use to make observations? What can you use? Lastly, give me an example of both. Does anyone need more time? In the very bottom of your paper, on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being you don't understand it at all and you have no idea what we talked about today, and 5 being I'm an expert, I understand it, and 3 being I pretty much get it, I might have a couple questions. And then fold your paper and go turn it into our Dropbox. And when you get back to your desk, go ahead and pull out your math books.